Greetings everyone, Lumberg here. Today we are going to talk about mergers. The good news is Camel has resumed mergers after a 3-month break. And if you were one of the lucky ones to get this kind of a message, everybody kind of that wants a merger, really when they log in and see this message, it's an exciting time. These usually mergers happen right about 2 days before Chaosland. So you get about a 2-day advance notice to kind of prepare for it, and Chaosland is what determines the winner. So here in this merger announcement, you can see 130, 132, and 151. They fought for Chaosland, and then 151 won. And then if you're one of those lucky nations that win, you get to keep your nation number. And here you can see 151 is the one that won and keeps the nation. So let's take a look at mergers in general, who got one, who didn't get one, what to expect after a merger. A lot of these are first-time mergers. 151, of course, is the only one from that got a second-time merger in this list that we are aware of, because we don't have the full list yet. So this is the list of nations that are the lucky ones that got a merger. 151, 32, and 30 merged into. So the green one is where they merged into. That means these nations won or were agreed upon. All of these are first-term mergers here for around nation or globe 4 onwards. 151 is the only one that got a second-time merger. The merger date is going to be February 3rd. That was announced. All of these are unlocked. Now, mind you, I don't have any information on Lock Nation mergers that happen, but presumably there's at least a couple of those that also happen that we'll find out once Camel announces them, or we investigate. So here you can see all of the nations that won. Here is just what happened. They each got an in-game message. What was interesting is one of these 476, at first time we were wondering, are they going to get a merger? Are they going to not get a merger? Usually a good indicator of whether you're going to get a merger or not is if you have 3 nations in your Chaosland. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you'll get merged, which was the case with, I think, 476 and 492 and 596. For the longest time, they were wondering, will they get a merger or not? And then finally an in-game message came where they said, yes, the merger announcement of the new world happening. So here you can see, this really does make sense, and these nations are smart. They figured it out that, look, you're going to get better matching in events in Global Conquest, Triangle World, Duel of Dominance, if you go into a higher world. So you take these older accounts and higher power into the higher world. So here you can see for all of these later ones where the combination is kind of weird, right? So you have almost 100 plus worlds apart. When that happens, you're better off picking the younger world and not really battling for keeping your nation. So that's exactly what happened here. The last ones where there was 100 or close to 100 or 100 plus world difference, they negotiated it based on, what I could see in nation chat and looking at the battle reports of Chaosland. And then the other ones were, I think, true battle, a very close one won by 477. Congratulations. 513 is the one that had an overwhelming victory. It looked like it was a preset agreement, but I think they're just really strong. 485 won the battle. 151 won a very close fight with 130. 477 was a really, really close fight. We're going to take a quick look at some of those scores just to see it. And, I created a spy account in all of these nations to kind of see it. Here you can see 151 and 130 battled very close. It was 14.3 versus 13.9, so very close. And it's a battle of pride and who gets to keep it. This was probably the closest one you can see here. 574, 489, 486. Actually, sorry, this was not a close. This was one that was agreed upon. They just wanted to kind of maximize their merit, which is smart. Other nations kind of took a position. Here you can see a very close one between 494 and 477. Congratulations on that fight. Same one there. This one was a agreed upon battle. This one was a good fight between 485 and 511. And then finally, I think that's the same one. So if we come back to this merger nation list, it's really hard to predict kind of who would get picked with what. Sometimes you can imagine that you'll get, close to your world. Really, the ones that stayed kind of close was this, 151, 130, 477, 480, and 494. They stayed close, but 513 kind of stayed close, 485 a little bit, but these are rather split and random. So who was unlucky? So here you can see, and I can't really understand the difference. I talked to a couple of people from 482 and 483, and it's really hard to say. So here in red is the ones that got left out, that did not get a merger. Green are the ones that just got it. So here you can see this is the one that got it. So in those waiting for the second merger, what's interesting is that, all of these worlds were skipped for the second merger. And in October of 2022, 209 and 219, which is the merged nations, were able to get a merger. So that's kind of interesting that all those worlds were kind of skipped, and they remain skipped. Only one was done to my knowledge. So 164, 171, 175, all of these are waiting for a second merger. The reason I went up to here is because 209 and 219 were the ones that did get it. So I just wanted to say kind of who's still left in that chronological order. 473 was the nation that was really up for a merger, the first one that's unmerged amongst all these nations. 482 and 483. Some people have asked me, does that mean 473, 482, and 483 will get a merger? Not necessarily. Camel might just combine you with some of these 500 worlds. Randomly, it looks like some worlds here between 511, 13, and 16 got it. 570, 496, 601 got it. So all of these were skipped. I don't know what, gets them there, but some things to look at is probably spending and just kind of overall activity in the game. That was probably on a steady decline that helped kind of get them the merger. But honestly, just might be luck, dumb luck. You can't put science to just madness, right? So it just might be random or madness. Who knows how Camel does these things? Okay, so now what if you got the merger, the first time merger, or even the second time merger, and you forgot how you did it and wanted some best practices? This is a toolkit that I shared before that I'm going to reshare again. I think it still should be relevant. This has the map coordinates that usually cause issues if you divided your map evenly. Where are the borders? So this basically lists all the borders by the shaded area. If you go into your map view and kind of open it up and look at distribute resources, this will help you kind of get that idea of what it is. Where that color code is. I've tried to kind of show that color code here, and this is all the coordinates of the borders that was causing some issues, and some conflicts between who's in whose area, especially if you divide your map evenly. You can set your map like this. This is the, just reference from when we merged 285 earlier last year, and how we divided it evenly amongst ourselves. You can set the rules. It's always a good idea to set the criteria, set your rules for, who's going to be where, who gets what part of the map, what is going to be the nation rules, what is going to be the farm rules, how do you decide conflicts, how do you decide and resolve those, how do you govern the nation, how do you set the priorities of which events, because you can't do all the events. What's going to be priority? Is it going to be Void, Frenzy, Global Conquest? How is your nation priorities going to be? A lot of you already know this, and it's common sense, and there's some other guides on this, but just wanted to say that. Two additional tips that I'm going to repeat. If you are the target nation and you won Chaosland, and your merger is going to be in your nation, the locations of the bonus buildings, the war factories, military areas, mechanic shops, etc., labs, those do not change at all. Those remain the same. So you can kind of plan ahead who's going to be where, how you're going to take it, how you're going to divvy it up. Second thing is there is a 2-hour cooldown on placement of flags. So that means, in a predetermined friendly merger where you're not competing for that land to avoid those conflicts, you want to make sure that the main alliances get to place their flags because of that cooldown. You can set the farms later to avoid conflicts and set, there's a lot of coordination needed. You guys already coordinated some in getting to some of these agreements where you decided on those higher number nations for better matching, but there's still a lot of negotiating to come. So, it's constant work, it's constant effort, but, be open-minded. Translation can be really killer. So be careful about mistranslations, and just, personalities. That's the toolkit that I wanted to share. If we go back to the game, basically, just a couple of reminders. Global Conquest is still ongoing. A lot of events happening. Triangle War is still ongoing. Global Conquest Finals is ongoing. So if Global Conquest Finals is ongoing, don't forget you have about 20 hours left to cheer. So even if you're not participating, you can still cheer for the nation that you're supporting. There's some really good matchups, and you can see it. There should be some good content coming out in Global Conquest. And then, one more thing to keep in mind is if you're in the finals, you're going to have to sacrifice between Triangle War and Global Conquest if you want to move people around to get to, maximum online across alliances per round. That is pretty much it. I just wanted to share this quick video on mergers in this update. If anybody has any questions, comments, feel free to leave those, and have a wonderful day, guys.